All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Leafs in Seven.
Leafs in
We've got
seven.
a lot. Leafs in Seven,
Leafs in seven.
not five, not four, not six even, but it's gonna be seven. One day it'll be seven. All right, guys, we got a lot to discuss here. Well, not too much, but we did miss two. Well, I want to get right into it. We did miss two signings after our last episode. That's because obviously these signings came just after we actually aired the episode. The Leafs acquire Nick Ritchie and Ondrej Kase. So Nick Ritchie is actually coming from Boston, where he wasn't given a qualifying offer, and so was Ondrej Kase. So two players, two Boston Bruins. Guys, how do we feel about these acquisitions? Hit the floor. What do you guys think?
I last week I mentioned Nick Ritchie was somebody I think we should have looked at. So glad we got him. Gives us a little bit of grit. Kind of replaces that we lost with Zach Hyman. You know, he's at like what 2.25, I believe he is. 2.5, a little higher. He's at 2.5 for the next 2 years.
You know what? You're giving me the wrong two here. You know what? Two I like 230. That's how much he weighs. He's also 6'2". Something the Leafs desperately need. I'm actually, Boston Bruins fans were coming in droves on a couple of notable Leaf Twitters that I was just reading, and letting him take dumb penalties for your team. Enjoy this, enjoy that. You know what?
We kind of need it.
We need it. I want a player who's going to be in that position. To be able to take penalties. That's fine. We haven't had someone who's tough or with skill in a long time. Like Nick Ritchie has skill. He was actually last season in a shortened season. He had 15 goals. He was actually on pace for a really good year. If that can continue for $2.5 million, second line, even if he's on the first line, I don't know where he's going to be. I have no idea, but I'm all for it. Pumped up.
Yeah, I like the signing. Obviously, it's not the perfect signing, but I was expecting it to be big because we don't have much money. So I think on the budget, it's not bad. He's got, like you said, he's got good size, grit, physicality, maybe some excitement, But
yeah,
nothing bad to say about it.
I mean,
shoots left winger.
Yeah, I mean he's a left winger that we have two holes there at the top line and the second line if we don't use Kerfoot in those positions. So
yeah, no, I don't know much.
Honestly, I know everyone's thinking second line, right? That's what the thought is, like second line. Let's try him out with Matthews right away. You know why?
Why?
He hasn't had someone like, I know Zach Hyman's had good years, but like I think Nick Ritchie, he's having a good year last year. Put someone with skill on his line, with size.
Yeah. So I don't know much about Nick Ritchie's skating. How is he, like a slower dude, or like do you think he can keep up?
Yeah, so that's what I heard from Boston fans.
That he's slow.
Slow skater, like takes forever to get up and down the ice, but
that kind of suits Tavares more. Tavares isn't as fast a skater.
It's true. Yeah.
Right. I mean, Hyman wasn't like an elite skater by any means either, so
no.
But he wasn't really slow. Bad, but he kind of fits Tavares' game a bit more because Tavares isn't known for his speed. And if you have this guy knocking people off of Tavares, he can do his magic.
Well, how about this? Let's put it this way: who gets bullied more on the ice, William Nylander and William Nylander and Tavares, or Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews? I'm going to say just because Mitch Marner is on the first line.
I agree.
As skilled as he is, guy gets tossed around. Like
we all watched the playoffs, man.
That's what I'm thinking.
Got bullied. Yeah, he's going to be good for in the playoffs. It's going to be nice to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the best bargain signing we have, right? Of all the other deals we've gotten like Bunting, we discussed last episode for very, very cheap. I think Nick Ritchie is the most established player out of
absolutely
all the signings that we've had. I know at one point, do you guys remember a couple of seasons ago? I think Nick Ritchie went just before William Nylander. Correct me if I'm wrong in the draft, and people were, livid at the Leafs at the time for taking William Nylander. Like, oh, you took the short, the smaller Swedish player, and you really needed some bulk and some skill, and this guy's going to be amazing. And I think we can safely say William Nylander's turned out just fine. Much better than fine. Much better than fine.
Well, Richie went like what? It was literally 2 picks later, was it not?
Yeah, Richie went 10th and Nylander went 8th.
Yeah, so I mean, I remember those conversations because I remember the draft.
Was it Don Cherry pissed?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was pretty pissed.
Cherry. Yeah.
But no shocker there. That's a European skating player. That's not a Don Cherry player.
Yeah, no. But now we got both of them, so it doesn't matter, right? Honestly, just like a quick prediction here, I'm gonna say this. Well, I'll ask you guys first. If you guys were to guess, without knowing what line he's playing on, and injuries aside, how many goals he's good for at $2.5 million, what do you give him for a full season?
Like, what is he like? What do you think he's good for, or like, what do you think would be good, like, value for what we paid him?
In a top 6 role.
How about both?
Yeah, we can do
in
both.
A top 6 role.
Yeah, in a top 6 role because he is top 6 on his team.
Yeah. 82 games. I mean, he's playing with more skilled guys because in Boston he was playing in bottom 6. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to get 20 goals.
Yeah.
When you play with Marner and Matthews, like you're bound to get some good bounces your way or some good feeds. So
yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think you said this earlier. I'm not sure if you said it on air or not, but when you're playing with Marner and Matthews, as long as you keep your stick on the ice, you're going to get some goals.
Absolutely, you are. Just for some context, so Nick Ritchie, last season, in 56 games with Boston, you said he wasn't in a top 6 role. He had 15 goals and 11 points for 26 points in 56 games, that's on pace for a 20-goal season. Yeah,
that's solid.
So my prediction is, I think he's good for. I think he's good for 22 goals, 22, 23 goals. I think he's going to get 20. That's my prediction.
He's a half point a game player. He could be a half point a game player for 2.5 and provide some toughness. I think that's actually a really good signing.
Well, for me personally, I know it's hard to say because I don't think he's ever hit 20 goals in his career. But to be fair, I didn't watch him when he was younger days when he played with Anaheim, so I don't know what role he was playing then. So, but I think he could hit 20 this year, especially if he's playing a top line or two with the skill that the Leafs have. I think it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. So
he was never playing with talent like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner.
Well, obviously not those guys for sure.
No, I know.
Yeah,
but like that's you mentioned that he hasn't hit 20 goals before in his career. It's true. It's a shame that this was a shortened season due to COVID because he would have probably hit it. Yeah. He probably would have had it, right? Would have had that under his belt. But you know what? That being said, if he hits 20 or more than that, maybe we don't get him at that price, right? So, yeah. And then we have to discuss the other signing here. This is a much more almost confusing signing. So, Ondrej Kase. Now, this player comes with a lot of risk. He's 25 years old. He's a right winger. He's played for obviously Boston, and before that, he played for Anaheim, just like Richie.
He's following Richie around.
Yeah, they got dealt together, I believe. So, so he's actually from the Czech, and this guy has had severe injury problems. Okay, so severe that in the last 2 seasons, so 2019, 2020, and then 2020, 2021, he's played a combined total of 9 games. 9.
Yep. And then if you notice back 2017, 2018, he got injured again as well. They dropped him down the AHL for it.
Yeah. Now these are significant injuries, right? There's a lot of concussion issues here. A lot of notable hockey people have said maybe it's time to retire. However, his teammate, and I know when a reporter asks a teammate these questions, or the teammate's obviously going to answer on the benefit of his pal.
Yeah. But
Nick Ritchie did say that from what he's seen and what he's heard from Ondrej Kase this offseason is that he's never seemed healthier. So what do you guys think about this pick? Like, do you guys think it has some upside, or do you guys think it's a complete wash?
I'll let you go first, Mike.
Honestly, I've had this debate with Camille off a podcast, but I'm not a believer in the guy. I think it was it's literally it's a risk reward kind of thing, right? They're not risking much or anything, but I haven't seen anything from him to think that this was worthy of anything other than just, I don't even know what to call it, because in my opinion, I don't like the signing. It was a waste of time. Like the whole thing. Like I know it doesn't really affect anything, but I just don't see any value in it, to be honest.
Yeah,
Brandon?
I'm kind of in the same boat as Mike here. Like none of his stats scream that he's just kind of like he's guy. He's just guy.
So
and guy with, like you said, concussion risk.
Okay. So I'm gonna take a different angle. So you signed this guy for what was it, 1.25?
Let me confirm.
Pretty sure it was 1.25 million.
1.25
so 1.25 million for 1 year. So the contract is variable. It's a 1-year deal, very low salary, and you can get rid of it off the books if you need to.
Yes.
So B, sorry about that. So B, also on top of that, if it's true, like let's say hypothetically, best case scenario, he is healthy and he's ready to go. This guy does, under his belt, actually have, I believe, a 20 goal. He has one 20 goal season. Yes, it was years ago. I understand. People are like, wow, yeah. I think that's, this guy's a half a point a game player in his career. He's got 97 points in 207 games, so pretty close to half a point, or half a point every 2 games. So, I think I like it. I actually like it. The worst case scenario is this guy never plays a game for the Leafs.
Yeah.
And we bury it. I don't care. That's fine. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect the team. On the upside is this guy, if he is somehow healthy, he contributes and he competes for a roster spot, and maybe who knows, maybe he has a Galchenyuk kind of resurgence. Yeah. Maybe it's even better than Galchenyuk. I have no idea, but I'm okay with it. I don't think there's any risk here, because I see these, heavy Sportsnet articles saying, oh, it incurs so much risk. No, it doesn't. You can bury it if you need to, and it's 1 year. It doesn't matter. That's just my take.
Yeah. Like, yes, he's had some production, but like the problem is even all of his best seasons, he's never played a full season. I think he only has 2 of them above like 50 games in the season, so 2 seasons. So I just think the injury risk is high. But yeah, it is 1 year, so it's like not that big of a deal. But it's just my thought process. What if we brought somebody else instead who might be more contributing, kind of thing. But I get why they did it, and like I don't absolutely hate it. I just don't I don't.
There was other moves that could have been made using that $1.25 million. I mean, that kind of leads us into the Leafs are down to no cap space now.
Hang on a second.
Oh,
I disagree. Just because.
Really?
Yeah. So you've got this extra cap space, right, that you've just taken away with Ondrej Kase, and you say, oh, there could be another move. Could have brought another guy in. They can, if there's somehow something available still for them. We talked about this a little bit before the show. They can still do it right now. They can still be over the cap until training camp starts, I believe. I don't remember the exact cutoff date. And that move hasn't affected them. The only thing that move does affect before you bury it is the roster spot, the number of players that are accumulated, right? So in saying that, I understand where you guys are coming from. Like, wow, I wish I had a player that's, getting paid $1.25 million who's actually going to contribute on the team as a definite. But honestly, there's not a lot of players in the league who, if you look at like salary, I know this guy's injured for the. I know it's an extreme case, but most guys who are making that kind of money, for the most part, aren't. I mean, I could be wrong. I should be careful when I'm saying this. Besides rookies and standing situations, most guys are not contributing too much to a team with salary level. But
one of the guys you could have brought back, you could have got Gouch back for that price.
Yeah,
he was less last year, so. And he showed interest in wanting to play for the Leafs, so.
Yeah, he was really happy with the organization. He really enjoyed being around everyone.
That's honestly my main qualm with it, just because I would like to see him come back and see what he can do, but
sure.
Other than a guy who's potential injury risk, but I guess he does have potential, right?
And the Leafs are known for having the best medical staff in the league, and that's the whole reason. Jason Spezza stayed here and revitalized himself a little bit because our medical staff is so good.
Right? Well, he wanted to come to Toronto before that, though, right? Like he's
did.
From Toronto. Yeah.
It just does help. It helped us play because we have a phenomenal medical staff.
And they're also doing some good. They did some good load management with Spezza. Like there are games where he just said,
Yeah.
back to backs. Like no, like I take the
Yeah.
time off, and he's great for it. I think there was one game. I think it was this season actually, where he took the game off prior before, and everyone's like, "What is he injured? Like what's going on?" The next game he came back, he had that fake slapper hat trick goal, and everyone's like, he's fine because he knows his body. When he, anyways, I don't want to get too much into that, but obviously, so glad he's back as a Leaf. By the way,
Oh my god.
Me too.
and he's actually going to play the home game. It's going to be great.
When he retires, I want him in a manager, not a managerial, but like some kind of office or some position with the Leafs organization. I just want him here. I just love him.
You know what I want? I want 25-year-old Jason Spezza on the Leafs.
Oh my god, yeah.
Instead of him torching us with Alfredson and Heatley, that line. Just saying.
Wouldn't that have been nice?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But yeah, anyways, back to Cassay.
Mm.
Those are the two moves that we've talked about here. I'd like to do this one little thing. Okay, so out of all the signings that we've done, we discussed them on the last show, so I don't want to get too much into them. Opening day, let's do a quick little prediction here. Of all the signings that you see that we've had, which guys do you see making the opening night roster? I've got mine. If I can go first. Richie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Bunting is also going to make the team out of training camp.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one, I would probably say Kempf from Chicago. I think he's going to be on the fourth line.
And we're obviously not counting Peter Mrazek because he's just kind of a guaranteed
Given.
backup.
Yeah. You guys have anything different than me? What do you think?
Not really, man. Like, I think Richie's a slam dunk. That's pretty obvious. Same with Bunting.
What about Robertson, though? Does Robertson take away a spot?
Who? I think it's going to be Robertson, Richie, Bunting.
Okay, so no comp. Okay, got it.
Yeah, no comp.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm kind of have to go with Brand on that because I feel like they're going to have to throw Robinson in there. Like they have to at this point. They got to see what they got with him.
Yeah, they have seen a little spark of him, and they liked what they saw. Comp is still not still kind of like a question mark at this point. Well, more so than piece. Robertson is. Yeah, he's more of a depth piece. But Robinson, why do I keep saying Robinson? Robertson has a bit more, skill behind him. At least that's what we've seen. He has potential to be on the second line if they need to plug him in there.
Yeah. No, okay, that's fair. I think when after training camp's over, and I'm right, we'll go back to this episode and we'll promote it up on social media.
Okay.
But no, I seriously think Comp makes it just because he's the first penalty killer that we've had as a centerman that's dedicated to the penalty kill. Like I said, since Parlin home, it's the first one, and he's done well in that role.
I mean, there's a way how both
for sure
could be right. We could move somebody. A certain somebody.
I'd love to get into this. So you guys,
Camille, why don't you mention your theory?
I'm almost guaranteeing this. May even donate money to charity if I'm wrong. That Pierre Engvall will be moved before the start of the season.
Mm.
Right now, the Leafs have zero flexibility with their cap, which means a juggling monster for for the team in general, for the management, for going up and down between the minors and switching players around to make sure they're cap compliant. And they've done that before. I don't think they're going to want to do that again because guess what happened last time we did that? We lost Aaron Dell, who was actually a good third string goalie, waivers, and we've lost players to waivers before. So they're going to try to avoid that situation. I think Pierre Engvall gets moved.
Do you think for a player? Or
no, we can't have any salary coming back, so it's probably going to be for a late pick.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect anything significant for it. Pierre Engvall, if I remember correctly, let me look up his salary, but
it's 1.25.
Yeah.
So that's two. We've already got that to Cassay there, and adding in, and we don't know if Cassay is going to be healthy, right? So I think the obvious move to me, in my mind, if I were betting, it'd be Pierre Engvall gone,
Especially because this is his last year, and next year he's going to probably want more money. So
exactly,
it's the same argument we use with Riley. Why lose him for nothing next year?
Right. So speaking of Riley, I actually want to touch on this very quickly. I know it wasn't part of our proposed talk, but I saw something. I'm going to get the source. It was from a Twitter, and it actually sourced Pierre LeBrun. And basically, it was a Leafs dedicated Twitter, and what it had said is that, you know, Morgan Riley would be willing. This is again not. This is a source from Pierre LeBrun, but this is not like I haven't seen this on TSN or anything like that. But it's basically saying that Morgan Riley would take a gigantic pay cut to stay with his team. I don't like listing random rumors here and there, but this one seemed to have more momentum to it just because of the LeBrun aspect.
Yeah.
So he'd be willing to take a pay cut. And they would start looking at negotiations. And if it wasn't done by August, there could be something on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to read too much into that, but if that's true, I'm happy because I like Morgan Riley. If he decides to take a giant pay cut and can stay with this team, I want that.
But the issue you get to is what's a giant pay cut? What is Morgan Riley's market value right now? Now, we just saw Zach Werenski sign for $9.5 million.
Yeah, he's better than Morgan Riley, by the way.
Yeah, he's better than Morgan Riley, absolutely. So he's in the middle of 9.5, and he's making 5 now. We can't afford to give him a pay cut for him would be 7. Do you want to pay Morgan Riley $7 million? I don't think I would.
So the proposed amount was actually 6 to 6.5, which is actually, in my opinion, very good.
Yeah, I would do 6. I would do 6. I wouldn't go 7.5, which teams are going to want to offer him 8 if Werenski's getting 9.5. Let's be honest.
So the defensive market and the upswing in dollar contracts, again, I don't want to talk too much about this because we did it last time. But it was really good for defensemen this year in the National Hockey League for free agency. You got your payday. So will that be the same next year? I don't know. That was kind of a market developing thing, right? Like how the market was going. So
it is a weird market this year with the pandemic, with the expansion draft and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to keep an eye on that because I'm sure all three of us can agree, we do not want to talk about Morgan Riley and him walking for nothing for a full year. Because I will rip off this headset and then destroy everything. So, yeah. Guys, I want to get into something kind of fun.
Okay.
I want to do some quick questions. All of us are going to answer. I'm honestly curious about because I don't think I know any of your answers to these. I don't even know mine. Really, I got to think about it. But let's see here. Okay. So, as Leaf fans, one of the things that we went through was another Game 7 collapse. And a lot of people wanted Mitch Marner traded.
Mm.
If Mitch Marner was to be traded, like you find out tomorrow, Mitch Marner's being traded. What's your dream Mitch Marner trade, but still within like a realistic realm?
Mm-hmm.
What would that look like?
And we could just pick one.
Yeah.
One. For this off season, I would have loved I'll say one that could have still happened and one that's already passed. I would have loved if we could have gotten Marner for Seth Jones. And I would have loved Jack Eichel.
Interesting.
But Jack Eichel
I just like both those options.
Jack Eichel, when I think about it, wouldn't really work for the team because that's another center, and then he's going to go behind Matthews and Tavares. That wouldn't work. I understand that.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. Well, why Seth Jones? Obviously, besides the obvious that he's a good defenseman.
That's just it. Like he's just a high quality defenseman, defensive defenseman. The one thing I didn't want to pay Morgan Riley $7.5 million, like we were just talking about, was that he's not a great defensive defenseman. He's another forward. So having another stay-at-home defenseman just to solid up that back end would have been phenomenal. Okay. And obviously, you would get something else with Jones for Marner. Mm-hmm. So maybe another back end forward, and then a little bit of relief in the cap.
Okay.
So it would have helped the team all over. It would have helped on the back end. It would have helped with cap relief. It would have mixed things up a little bit in the dressing room. And Jones is one of the big fish this year.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Mike, what about you?
Well, for me, it's hard to say because like it's kind of weird because like in order to trade his contract because it's high, you don't know if you're gonna be if the teams are gonna offer like depth pieces and draft picks or if it's like an actual player. But if I was to say like a desired player that I would love to see, well, it's a name that I've said many times in the show that I'd love to see in the Leafs, and that's the Gabe Landeskog. But
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
again, not realistic.
No.
And obviously another one.
That's why it's a dream trade.
Yeah,
That's a dream
ideal
trade.
dream trade. Let's see a trade of Mitch Marner and Victor Hedman in the mix. So,
Yeah.
but
No, for
that
sure.
again, no chance of that happening ever. So,
I mean,
so yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the dream of all dreams, if we're talking unrealistic here, would have been Marner for like Draisaitl or McDavid, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
So I'm going to go a little bit different of a direction and say I don't specifically have a player in mind for trading Mitch. Like if we were to trade Mitch Marner, like a dream trade, but I will say I have a dream like vision. So Mitch Marner has a very high cap hit, and like Mike suggested, like you don't know what that looks like when you're getting it back. So for realism aspect, but also still a dream, I think you're almost always going to lose in the Mitch Marner trade. I don't think you're getting back anyone of equal value. No. It's very, very unlikely. What I would like is almost like a Tyler like Johnson kind of player, like someone like maybe not per se a centerman, but someone to that pedigree who's again, this is not realistic because they'd be losing that trade like Tampa Bay, but something like that, just like a really good player who signed at an affordable, more affordable contract where we've got extra cap space to then use for guess what, more depth. That's something that would be a dream, but if not, a really good like power forward. I think a power forward at like $5 million. I'm thinking of players right now, and one of my favorite players to watch when he was younger was Bobby Ryan when he was on Anaheim Ducks, and he was actually playing like he was obviously scoring a lot of goals back then, but he was also, he could hit, he could play. So someone like that, I've always wanted to see on this team, like a really good like younger power forward. I don't think we've had one like a real power forward in a long time. So, would you guys say Nick Ritchie is a power forward?
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that would be it for me. Just any move that you get value back, but you save on cap, that would be amazing for me. Rather than like, oh yeah, we're trading Marner for a first round pick and like these two prospects that may never make it into the league. I want a roster player back that's good,
Absolutely. So. I would not trade them back or trade them for picks. If you do that, you're saying we're in a rebuild.
Yeah, and a team that's going to want Mitch Marner is probably going to be a contending team if they're willing to take that cap. So the pick probably wouldn't be a good one anyway. So
yeah,
exactly. So it's got to be a good roster player back. Someone obviously, hopefully, with still some like youth in their system, but yeah, that's definitely it for one. So another question, guys: when you guys were growing up or now, who are your favorite Leafs? Like, name 3 of your favorite Leafs. I'm curious, and why. Actually, I'm going to start off because I'm kind of excited about this question because I wish someone would ask me this. So my 3 favorite Leafs of all time, and these are kind of, they might be obvious choices, but Mats Sundin is my first. Captain, guy who, came from Sweden, can speak great English, communicated so well with the city, did a lot of charity. Was great, a great representative of the Leafs. Like you never caught him in any like scandalous, like, media things and things like that, and just had a great slap shot, point per game player his entire career, consistent, and just someone I love to watch. The second would probably be Phil Kessel, because I was always a Kessel fan even before he played on the Leafs. I really liked him in Boston. In his rookie years, before it, obviously, and he had to battle cancer. I was used to respect him a lot when I was growing up and watching him play, and his wrist shot was a bullet. Like when he was playing on the Leafs, one of the only bright spots on that team was Phil Kessel for a long time, and his wrister was just unbelievable, and he was always so exciting to watch. I'll never forget it. Phil Kessel's very first game with the Leafs was actually against Detroit. Keep in mind, guys, this is so far back when Jason Blake was still playing. Okay. And I was at that game. I was at Phil Kessel's first game as a Leaf. And I was there when he scored his first goal. The puck was already crossing the line, and Jason Blake had touched it last, and Phil just batted it in and got the goal. And Jason Blake gave him crap for it. And I thought that was hilarious. And ever since that moment, and a little bit prior, I really like Phil. And then number 3 is AM34. Austin Matthews, 4 goals in his debut. Big centerman. I know playoff struggles were real last year, but even still, this is
he's one of the best Leafs ever.
He is. I think I'm watching the best, arguably in my lifetime, the best Leafs player ever. If you look
I'd have to agree with that.
If you look at his goals, and his points and his production, and also his two-way play, it's not just goal; it's his two-way play. This guy is complete. I think he's going to be even better. He's turning 24. This guy's an all-around beast, and I'm so glad we have him, even though the results haven't been there yet. And I hope we keep him.
Like as much as Leafs Nation is pissed off at 34-16 right now, you can't deny that Matthews is one of the best goal scorers and one of the best Leafs to ever wear the jersey.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't deny it. Like the numbers are right there. He's just got to get it,
baby. He's the GOAT.
He's just got to get his shit together in the off season.
Nah, he's got it. What about you guys? 3 favorite Leafs?
You can go, Mike.
All right. Well, I'll start. Obviously, you love guys like Matt Sundin, Felix Potvin, Austin Matthews. There's been so many great names. Obviously, I also am a huge Kessel fan. I'd probably put him on my list, but since you said him, I'm going to use somebody else too. But I love Kesselmania, brother. Yeah. So we'll start with a random one first. Actually, when I first started watching Leafs, I don't know why I used to love this guy. He was my favorite player when I was younger. I don't know if he scored the first goal I ever watched or something, but Alan Mccauley.
Oh yeah,
way back in the day.
Yeah,
he was never like that big great of a player with the Leafs, but for some reason when I was a kid, loved him. I absolutely loved him. Awesome. So that's just a fun one I wanted to say. Second one is another older one, but this guy was actually, I think, a solid player for us, and that's Sergei Berzin. He was a consistent, depth player. He's putting up anywhere from 35 to even to hit 60 points almost once. So he did have some point production, and why I liked him because he was a solid all-around player. He was a solid player, and I think his name's cool. But yeah. And then number 1, I'm going to go with a guy. I've liked him since watching him in junior hockey. And when he came to Leafs, I was friggin' stoked. And low-key, I called it before it happened years ago. I was like, yo, his contract's ended. He's coming to Toronto. And everyone kind of laughed, but it happened. And it's Johnny T. I love John Tavares.
Johnny T.
He's one of my favorite hockey players of all time to watch. And it's great that he's Leaf. Unfortunately, what happened in the playoffs this year, but love John Tavares.
Good list, man. Love JT as well. I actually surprised I kept him off because even though I know people are twisted on that salary that he received, honestly, man, I still love him. I still like him as a captain. If he was in our playoff series, we were winning that series.
We would have won that series.
All right, Brandon, what do you got?
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. If I had gone first, you guys knew who I would have said. I would have said Phil Kessel. I would have said Mats. But I'm going to go a little different from you guys just so I don't say the same picks. First one, this was my dad's favorite player growing up and became mine when I first started watching hockey. That's Dougie Gilmore. He was after my time, but from what I've watched him play, and my dad talks about all the time, whenever we're watching hockey, he's like, oh, see, Doug Gilmore would have done this differently. Like, okay, Dad, all right.
That's great.
The next one, first player I actually learned by name because I started watching in the early 2000s, late 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Ty Domi. He's not a great player by any means, but
fan favorite.
He's a fan favorite. Yeah, he got me. I was a young kid. I see Ty Domi beat the crap out of somebody. I'm like, I love this guy. I love him.
Nice.
And another one, Thomas Caberlet. One of the better defensemen we've had. We haven't up until Morty Riley. He was one of the better ones we had for a while. What are you laughing at?
You want to know what I'm laughing at? So if you go back to, I don't remember what year it was, but before we had JVR on our team, we had a trade proposition at the time. The current general manager, and I apologize For people listening, I can't remember, but it was at the time Thomas Caberlet straight up for JVR. This wasn't a rumor. This was
that was actually listed.
It was a thing, yeah. And JVR at the time was young. I think he just got off like a 25 goal season. And we didn't do the trade, and I was just ripping my hair out because I was just like, we need offensive players. But I mean, yeah, Thomas Caberlet, I saw one of his mainstay line mates? It was Brian McCabe, right?
Yeah.
Those guys used to play together. At one point, Brian McCabe was leading the team in goals, and I was just like, what is happening? That's why I wanted to have JVR. But yeah, no, it's a good list.
I have one more honorable mention, actually, I want to say.
Yeah, what's that?
I think he's underrated as a Leaf. He had a long career there, and he just doesn't get the love he deserves, and that's Jared McCann.
That's a tease, man. That's a tease.
I've got one legitimate or honorable mention I just wanted to bring up. He's no, like a legitimate one. It's the only Leaf I've ever met in person. Darcy Tucker.
I knew you were going to say Darcy Tucker.
It's the only Leaf I ever met in person. He was a stand-up guy. If he ever listens to this, I'm like, dude, you were super cool, and you cheered me on during that hot wing competition. Thank you very much.
It was a hot wing competition?
Yeah, I was at a Buffalo Wild Wing in Ancaster, Ontario, and it was a ghost pepper hot wing eating challenge at like the first game of the season. And I went to do it, and he was cheering me on. He's like, "Oh, come on, man, you can do it! You can do it!"
That is
great.
Hilarious.
That's amazing. It was amazing. He got me a beer afterwards.
The question is though, did you win? Did you finish the wings?
Yeah,
I did, and didn't feel like I won. I'm not sure if you guys have eaten a lot of hot food, but ghost pepper, and then the next day. Use your imagination.
So
still it.
So there is a video of me on YouTube of eating a very hot sauce and my nose busting open in blood, but that's a discussion for another time. All right, guys, those are some good revisits to the past. Just listening to some of those players. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick one here. We're gonna do favorite Leaf moments and most upsetting moments. Mike, how about you go first?
All right. Well, I'll start with one of my favorite moments. And obviously getting John Tavares is a pretty big one for me, but I'm going to have to go with, I think it was 2001, which is crazy that's 20 years ago, by the way. And that's when, the Leafs snuck into playoffs and then swept the Sens in round one. And it was a huge upset. That was a great moment. Yeah. But yeah, that probably one of my favorites obviously was signing Tavares as well, but those two are probably my top ones.
And what about most upsetting?
Most upsetting? I mean, the name of our podcast is enough for us, but I'll leave those ones. Maybe you guys will talk about them, but I'll go with this year's playoffs when John Tavares' injury. That was kind of, honestly, when it happened, it was like, whoa, like, is this guy did they just paralyze this guy? Like, it looked bad, but
oh god, yeah.
All right, I've got one for you guys here. So, my favorite Leaf moment. It's really hard. I almost want to mention two because I'm that excited. But my favorite Leaf moment was in the 2016 season when just after Austin Matthews had been drafted. I can't find this anywhere on YouTube. I've been looking for it. But they had a Winter Classic that year where they played outdoors. The Leafs haven't made the playoffs since 2013, and that was a half a season. Okay. Before that, they hadn't made the playoffs since prior to the lockout. So it's been forever since we've legitimately made the playoffs. And reporters on the ice after the Leafs, I believe, had played Detroit in the Winter Classic, and not a Winter Classic, but some outdoor classic, whatever it was. You can go back, and Austin Matthews and Mitch Martin have got the black lines under their eyes, and they're goofing around. And the reporter says they're talking about how the season's going, and I don't remember what she asked, but she said she alludes to the playoffs conversation, and Austin Matthews just looks at her with a grin. I got to find this clip. And says, "Oh yeah, we're making the playoffs," and I loved that. I loved that because what happens to my favorite moment? Leafs versus Pittsburgh. This is the game that decides if the Maple Leafs are making the playoffs. It's the very first year of Austin Matthews' tenure and Mitch Marner, and they got Zach Hyman. We've got this infusion of youth, and then we've got Tyler Bozak and JVR, and it's I'll never forget it because I'm listening to Joe Bowen, call the game, and it's like. It's a nail biter. Jake Gardner gives up the puck and they score and the game is tied and I'm freaking out. Our goal, Anderson's injured, so we're not playing Anderson. I forget the goalie at the time. I don't remember who it is, but we're playing and it's, so nerve-wracking. And what ends up happening is the same person who screwed up, Jake Gardner, gives it to Connor Brown. Connor Brown scores a goal. It's 4-3. And we're like a minute and a half away from making the playoffs. Not expected to make it in this rebuild. And I'm freaking out. And then Austin Matthews hits the empty net. And before that, Crosby cross-crease one-timer. And our goalie, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name, pad save, like sliding pad save. You have to watch it. It's an unbelievable moment. Joe Bowen calling it. One of my favorite moments. It's just all the euphoric feelings, like amazing save. They go down, they get the empty, like the celebration. It was so powerful. That was a great moment.
Was it McElhinney that
yes,
year?
Yes, because he says, instead of Holy Mackinac, he says Holy McElhinney, and I loved it. That was unbelievable. That's my favorite moment of all time, or at least in recent memory. Mm-hmm. And to completely contrast and make myself depressed, the most miserable, upsetting moment. I was with one of my best friends in Maple Leaf Square in 2013. And we're outside in Maple Leaf Garden. They do the outside garden. It's the Leafs versus Boston in Game 7.
What happened?
And third period. We actually have, I believe it's a 4-1 lead. And utter chaos. From Bergeron getting 2 goals, including the overtime winner, mind you. And just the entire collapse. And, we just had Kessel and Kadri. Both those guys score. Kadri's first goal of the playoffs in his career is in that series. And at the time Kadri scores that goal, there's like 5 minutes left or 4 minutes left, and they completely collapse. Literally, no joke. When that overtime goal went in, a beer bottle flew past my head. Some girl had her leg busted open by glass in blood gushing. It's pandemonium. I'm like, let's get the heck out of here. There's a camera crew coming up trying to interview my friend with a microphone. Like, hey, buddy, how do you feel? Like, the worst moment. I honestly thought I was going to die. I was worried that more beer bottles were going to start flying. I'm going to get hit in the head and I'm going to die. So, yeah, that was the worst one for me. But,
that's not easy to top.
No, but Brandon, why don't you try positive and negative?
Well, my positive, it's kind of a two-parter thing. It's I think you briefly touched on it. Austin Matthews getting drafted and then immediately scoring 4 goals in his first game.
Yeah. And
the best part was, for me at least, I'm in a fantasy league every year, and that year I took Austin Matthews. I took him in the 3rd round of our draft. And because everyone's like, oh, you know what, he's going to be good, but like, you're not going to take him top. And I took him in the 3rd round. I'm like, you know what, he's going to do some damage. I'm at the bar with 4 of my friends that day watching that first game, and I'm just like, boys, I've got 4 goals by Austin Matthews tonight. Like, what's going on here? And they proceeded to lose the game, but it shouldn't take away anything from Matthews. 4 goals in his first game. We got the first overall pick. We drafted one of the best Maple Leafs who's ever worn the sweater. You can't get much better than that until we win something. But that's at that time, that's a win in my books.
Oh, I was losing it. It's your number 1 overall pick, 4 goals first game. I'm like, this guy's scoring 400 this year. Let's go.
Guy's a god.
Yeah. What about your most upsetting or negative moment?
We lost to a Zamboni driver who works for the team.
A Zamboni driver? Who am I imitating?
Oh my god! I was so unbelievably angry. I started laughing. I was at my cousin's house for some kind of party. I don't even remember what it was for. And I was watching the game, and everyone had left when the emergency goalie came in because everyone's like, "Oh, the Leafs are going to win the game." And I'm like, "I'm just going to watch it because I like watching hockey." And then everyone came slowly back in when they hear me yelling at the TV, being like, "What? No, no!" And then they were down, and they just looked like crap. And I'm just sitting there. I was so angry. I just started laughing. I'm like, the team is just shit. They just suck. They're cursed. I'm like, what? No point of being mad about it. Might as well laugh about it. I probably posted some nasty stuff that night. I don't remember what I posted, what I was sending to people, but man, I was.
I probably stayed away from social media because the onslaught I would have received as a Leaf fan would have been.
It was
insane. Can't you appreciate how good of a story it is? David Ayers comes in, he's backup, he works for the team.
They're making a movie about it. Disney's making a movie about it. Yeah. I don't want that. I don't want to go to Disney World and see the David Ayers ride, okay? I don't need that in my life. Oh, my God.
Cancel my Disney.
Yeah, Disney Plus membership.
Disney Plus membership right now?
He's a Disney princess now.
You know, one last thing here I kind of wanted to go over just because we just passed free agency. This has been great. I like hearing all these different freaking moments of pain and pleasure. You know, it's just your favorite Leaf free agency signing, not this year, because I think we could all point out to be the same player. What's your favorite free agency signing of all time outside, Mike, of John Tavares? Because
outside of John,
you know,
I think
I can't even think of any.
Yeah, it's open to the floor. Whenever you get something, just answer. I'm just curious. I think I know my least favorite, but honestly, do you guys remember when, Mike, I forget his name, but the old general manager before Burke, John Ferguson Jr. Yeah. So when John Ferguson Jr. was running the team, a player who I believe played on the New York Islanders by the name of Jason Blake scored 40 goals once. And then John Ferguson Jr., after the salary cap had been introduced, goes, "We got to get that guy." And they signed Jason Blake to this, high contract. I'm just like, he scored 40 goals once. And we just got introduced to a salary cap. And he just blew money. And he just signing guys like left, right, and center. That was my least favorite signing. In terms of my favorite one, oof. That's tough. I would say, I wonder if we have a historical list almost that we can kind of go off of, Maybe I should have pulled that up. Maybe I should have pulled that up first.
Yeah, because it's hard to remember who exactly was picked up in free agency.
Actually, you know what? I've got one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
You guys are probably gonna disagree with it though. So John Tavares is a great story. I can tell you about how I screamed and I was blue in the face and my ex-girlfriend thought I was insane. But the most important one for me was Tyler Bozak, and I'll tell you why. Tyler Bozak had actually played for Denver, university there, and he didn't get drafted, obviously, or he didn't go through the draft, and he ended up getting signing, and where does he end up on? Nobody else but Phil Thrill's line. This kid who's just pretty young, pretty inexperienced, and the very first goal this guy scores is in Philadelphia. You guys should YouTube it. I'll never forget it. Literally does a deke around the defenseman, forehand back, up, snipes up top, bar down. I'm just like, holy crap. And that guy went on to be our first line center. And even though he wasn't a true first line centerman, he played the role as best as he could. And he eventually developed into a really good depth piece as we got stronger in that position with Matthews and Kadri and things like that. But I really liked that signing because it was just a kid out of nowhere. Like I said, not a draft pick, just came out of nowhere. And he put up, playing with Phil, respectable enough numbers for very cheap for a long time when that team had nobody else. And he had to play in that pressured market. Imagine being a free agent and becoming the Leafs first line centerman, as a rookie. It's mind-boggling. So yeah, I would say Tyler Bozak is actually one of my favorite signings, not because of his skill or anything like that, but just because of what he was able to do. And I'm really glad that he won a cup the year he left Toronto. That seems to be a tradition that happens to the ex-Leafs. Yeah. You guys got any?
Okay. Yeah, I got a couple. I'll do. So obviously my favorite would have been Tavares because I love Johnny T. But a couple other one I really liked was way back when I was Gary Roberts when he came in.
Yeah,
he was exciting. Even Alexander McGill, you could say, even though he was like more reluctant because he wanted to go back to Jersey at first. But more recently, though, I'll say one that I really liked, and that's TJ Brody. I was really happy when they brought him in because we desperately needed some D who could play D, but also like contribute in other ways. And I think he was a good guy for that. So I really liked the signing of him, and he wasn't overly expensive. So that was good. And he's still contributing for us this year, hopefully. So I liked him a lot. But least favorite, I'll just throw one out for fun. And that was, back when the Leafs, before the cap, when they would just sign all the old guys at the end of their careers, New and Dyke and all those guys. I'm going to go Eric Lindros when he came in and he got hurt first game.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at him being hurt. I just remember him coming off the bench. Brandon, never forget it. Comes off the bench, pucks at the opponent's blue line. I don't remember who he's playing. He takes the puck, goes to take a wrist shot. The moment after that shot's over, he's back off the bench. Wrist injured, gone. Took one shot.
And the worst part is, he did come back eventually, and I'm pretty sure that first game he got hurt again, and then that was it.
Just the worst.
So that's probably my least favorite, just because it's ridiculous. It's a whole funny scenario. It was back before the cap, so it's like hard to be mad at it, but I'll go with that one.
Brandon, what do you got?
So I think my favorite that I can think of offhand, but it's recent, Jason Spezza. I mean, you can't. There's nothing bad you can say about that. I mean, you watched him play. He's taking league min. He wants to take less just because he loves the team so much, and he's just putting up points. The guy fought in the playoffs to get the team into it. I mean, I can't say a bad thing about the guy. I don't think anyone can. And the worst one, I can't believe I didn't think about this before. David Clarkson.
I can't get on that topic. I'm a big David Clarkson guy because I watched him in Kitchen Rangers for years. He just wasn't used right on the Leafs, but he also was hurt. So
yeah, exactly. That's how he was. He wasn't. He had like virtually buyout-proof contract. It was a lot of money. He didn't play, and when he played, he sucked. It just sucked.
Yeah. So David Clarkson, he just got injured, right? He got hurt. Yeah. Like he had played. I don't think he played a full. Too. I don't think he played a full season for the Leafs. Not once. Not 82 games. No. So I think, and then afterwards he went to Columbus, and I think he was pretty much done after 2 seasons there.
Like so salary cap.
We have him back now. We're paying for him again on LTIR.
Are we?
I'm pretty sure. I think we got him in one of the contracts this year, and we put him on LTIR. I'd have to double check, but I'm.
I was going to do an honorable mention. It was also Jason Spezza, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. I think the last thing I would say here is we do have some good news. After this season, Phil Kessel's salary, as much as I love him, is off the books. That's an extra $1 million. Every penny counts.
Time.
Seriously, guys, this is great. I think what we're going to do for anyone watching or listening, we're actually revamping our podcast a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're actually working on having an overlay structure where you guys can follow us on social media. We'll have everything listed within the video so you guys know where our TikTok is, our Instagram, our Twitter. And on top of that, we're also going to be working on some sweet intro ideas. So super pumped up. Going to make this nice and fancy. But this was good, guys. I think the next thing we got to look forward to here is, we've got a couple of weeks or about a month still for training camp. But I think that Engvall contract that we talked about before, or at least I talked about it, I think that's the next thing that's going to happen. Could be wrong.
Most plausible thing, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of, if Cassay is healthy, guys, I'm just letting you know, we have a lot of freaking forwards. And I know there's depth and blah, 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 but we have a lot.
There's still time for somebody else to get moved too, so who knows?
Yeah. Guys, Kerfoot's still making $4 million.
Guys, I think I'm ready to be hurt again.
By the Leafs or by me?
The Leafs.
Yeah.
I saw the Ritchie signing. I see these signings. I'm like, you know what? I don't believe in them by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm looking. I'm like, maybe I'm better than I was a month ago.
Let me bring you back down to earth a little bit.
Why? It's the first time I've been positive on the show, man.
Let me bring you back down to earth a little bit. The team is still worse on paper than it was last year.
Absolutely.
But I will say this. I think as good as Florida was this year, and I know that Boston obviously got Foligno and Taylor Hall. I don't know why, but I don't think Boston is going to be what they once were. That core is aging. That carried them for so long.
They also lost Krejci.
Yeah.
He retired from the NHL.
That was happening. And Rask.
I mean, I think Boston will be worse.
And Rask too. Yep.
Yeah, but they still play so heavy. I don't think the Leafs can compete against. The Leafs won't be able to compete against Boston in the playoffs. Off season, maybe, like you said, but playoffs are a different beast, and Boston knows how to play them. So
yeah, maybe I think Ritchie will help in that regard a lot. I think something's got to give at some point, and if not, we'll just explode everything and start again, right?
I mean, I'm liking the idea of having a tandem of two decent goaltenders, than having Anderson and then having no backup for him. I think it's smart having the tandem, so that could be nice.
I agree. All right, guys. Well, until next time, next episode. Thanks, guys, for listening. Pumped up. We've got some unique segments coming our way as well. We got some clever ideas, guys. So stick around here. And guys, see you next week.
Are we doing next week?
I think we're gonna do next week. I think we're gonna do another fun show in the meantime. This is good practice. I think, And all right, and remember, for the 2022 playoffs, round 1, it's the Leafs in 7. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening.